Hey there guys, it is all the Wibs, and the Khans of Tarkir PAX party was last night, and goddamn! This is one you're definitely going to want to watch.
Going in games.
Well, it happened, people. Wizards decided they wanted their last 3-set block to sell like mad, so they did the absolutely expected. Shards of Onslaught confirmed. The Onslaught fetches are back, and honestly, is anyone surprised? People have been talking about this for months. Hell, in my last video, I just straight up told all of you. Then, Mr. Brian Gibbler put the nail in the coffin when 5 minutes before the lands were spoiled, he told everybody to put their old ones up on eBay. Now, whether you're into the secondary market or not, these lands being reprinted has huge implications for standard and especially modern. What does Jund look like now with a mana base that isn't completely awful? And I know my Snakeblade deck is gonna love having Windswept Heath over Verdant Catacombs. And the art on these babies is sweet too. I've been loving the new border, and Wizards did a great job of fitting these into the Tarkir landscape, giving us some of the best flavor text on lands we've probably ever seen. But the reprinting of the OG fetches is far from the only thing we get to take away from last night. Some of the first cards spoiled showed how heavily the wedge mana costs are going to be used in this set, and Crackling Doom and Timur Ascendancy are no slouches to be sure. Now, one of the best things about being an EDH or Commander player is that 90% of all things spoiled are awesome. Now, although these cards were clearly designed with that format in mind, their sheer power level could definitely break them into standard. Costing Mardu, Crackling Doom is hella restrictive, but sacrifice effects are almost always played, and this one tacks on 2 damage to boot. But the fact that it's an instant is what definitely pushes its playability. Timur Ascendancy is what every Rug player has been waiting to see. Fires of Yavimaya has always been disgustingly good, and swapping out Sacrifice Pump for conditional draw is probably a good upgrade in my mind. This card is going to push mid-range strategies to the brink next season. Playing Pulachronos on turn 3 with haste and drawing a card when it enters? Who doesn't want to be doing that? Continuing on the train of the clan costed spells, we got the first of the other cycle that you should have been expecting, and that came in the form of Sultai Charm. Man, I sure hope they didn't spoil the best one of these first, because this card is bananas. Having Ultimate Price, Naturalize, and Catalog on the same card is insane. We almost never get 3 relevant abilities on these things. This card immediately goes into every bug EDH deck, and if any of the other charms are nearly as good as this, that facilitates a strong push to 3-color decks being the norm again. At the higher end of the clan costed spells, we have 2 Abzan cards, Dune Blast and Abzan Guide. Dune Blast is once again exciting for EDH, but probably standard unplayable. The only 7 mana Wrath to see even a remote amount of standard play was All Is Dust, and that was colorless and got rid of everything. The flavor is definitely there, but if this is the best thing we're getting in sweepers, all hail the rise of the creature deck. Abzan Guide is a new morph offering, and at common it's pretty dang powerful. I can see myself being real happy if I end up with a couple of these guys in my sealed pool, because 4/4 and lifelink is no joke. This card does the best so far, I think, of showcasing the power of Morph in Limited. Getting this guy online turn 5 is miles better than turn 7. Oh, and because no one's allowed to have fun Limited, Wizards printed this shiny piece of poop. Shiny, shiny poop. The last of the clan mana cards spoiled was the Jeskai Kahn Narset, and although she costs 6, things with hexproof are never unplayable. And the fact that her ability triggers on attack is what's paramount in her playability. I'm still calling for Lightning Helix to see a reprint in this set, and flipping that off the top with Narset seems kinda good. And EDH players will be happy to have another commander option for good old America. Not to mention, there's a whole lot of wet dreams to be had over the thought of flipping Omniscience off the top with her. Why play 3 things for free when you could just play everything? That's Manifest Destiny. We also finally got confirmation of the other 3 clans' keywords. Abzan bring Outlast to the table, which is an ability ranging in cost, but seems to almost always just be tapping and putting counters on it. The cards printed with this mechanic also have additional abilities, usually incentivizing you to put the counters on those creatures. Einok Bonkin gives your countered up dudes first strike, and Herald of Anafenza gives you 1/1s when you activate his ability. This ability seems a little slow for standard, but mana sinks are always decent and limited, and having creatures that scale into late game is pretty good. Timur got Ferocious, a more playable at 4 power than Naya's unnamed 5-power creature matters mechanic. As I said earlier with Timur Ascendancy, there are many more playable creatures at 4 power, so I see this kind of ability being much better this time around. A card like Heir to the Wilds is already good as a bear with Death Touch, but having the ability to swing for 3 if you have a big friend around makes him that much better. Finally, we have the last of the things you should be expecting, and that's the confirmation as Delve as the Sultai mechanic. As soon as Maru said the mechanic revolved around resource manipulation at Comic-Con, there was little doubt that we'd be seeing this Future Sight mechanic returning. Necropolis Fiend is the first of the new Delve cards, and he represents a solid amount of potential. Granted, paying 9 for him is awful, but if there's enough self-mill in the set, getting him out turn 3 or 4 doesn't seem impossible. And his ability to kill off things with indestructibility could become curiously relevant. Which brings us to our next big spoiler. Sarkhan the Dragon Speaker isn't what anybody was expecting, but damn, is he welcome. Gideon Jura 2.0 comes in the flavor of red this time, conditional removal and all. But just like Gideon before him, Sarkhan will be valued for his ability to become a creature, almost a damn storm breath dragon. And as you attack with him, you slowly tick yourself up to an emblem that throws you into super top deck mode. The ultimate seems usable, but I don't know who's ever going to pass up shooting down opposing storm breaths and swinging in with your own for the win. It seems Wizards has finally figured out how to make decent red walkers, and that's an incredibly encouraging prospect for the future. And while I was shooting this thing, we got 2 more huge spoilers. Sorin is back, guys, and he is looking quite the same. This Sorin starts with 1 more loyalty, buffs all your dudes for the plus this time, and makes the token off the minus. This ultimate is pretty crazy powerful though, and Sorin looks real good standing next to a Johnny Steadfast in next standard. There's also Ugin's Nexus, which seems tailor-made to stop certain all I do is take extra turns decks. What's most exciting about this card, however, is that you can get an extra turn yourself just by finding a way to get rid of it. Arcbound Ravager much? Turns your opponent's fun right back around on them. Not something I can get into. The last thing Wizards left us with was the confirmation of the name for the second set, which is Fate Reforged. Like I said in my first con spoiler video, by set 3, there be dragons. Spoiler season goes into full swing tonight, and with all the things that happened this weekend, it's looking like Cons of Tarkir is going to be a strong first set yet again. What cards are you guys looking forward to? Are you happy the fetches got reprinted? With Ugin's Nexus and the presence of Sorin, it seems almost guaranteed we're going to be seeing our second colorless walker before too long. Leave your comments below, and be sure to stay tuned for another deck tech coming later this week. But until next time, peeps, Wibs out.